So, thanks so much, everyone that's joining us live today. And welcome to today's session. We're introducing Codility's newest product. It's Skills Intelligence. So, today we're excited to discuss the importance of verified skilled data for making informed talent management decisions and how Codility Skills Intelligence arms you with that data. We'll hear from Tony first, and then we'll be going into a live demonstration today. So, who are we on today's call? So just kind of like to introduce myself and introduce Tony. So first and foremost, everybody, today's session's been recorded. We will send the recording to all the registrants in the coming days. I'm Todd Jenkins. I'm the Global VP of Sales at Codility, and presenting with me today is my colleague Tony Melek. Tony heads up our assessment science team. He's our head of assessment advisory. So feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout the presentation. But Tony, over to you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Todd. And hi, everyone. Like Todd mentioned, I'm Tony Melek. I'm the head of assessment advisory at Codility. I'm excited to share how skills intelligence can help you unlock your workforce's potential. But first, I'd like to give a quick overview of Codility and why we're uniquely positioned to tackle these challenges. Codility has been the leader in technical skills for years. Our platform is powered by assessment science. We have a team of IO psychologists like myself who try to infuse rigor into every task we build. It's one of the reasons we're trusted by global enterprises to evaluate and grow engineering talent. We've built one platform for all your technical needs, from hiring to upskilling. To date, Codility has evaluated over 16 million engineers across 68 countries, all while maintaining a 96% customer satisfaction rating. These numbers show the scale and trust we've earned. So when it comes to helping companies understand the skills of their existing employees, we just simply drew on our expertise. And that brings us to Skills Intelligence, which is our newest solution focused on your current workforce. So why Skills Intelligence? Simply put, we find that organizations today are struggling with skill visibility of their current employees, that is. It's hard to see what skills your people truly have beyond what's on their resume or their job title. We constantly hear three big questions from technology leaders. First, strategic workforce planning. Where do we stand today, and how do we staff the right people on the right projects going forward, including preparing for emerging needs like AI skills? Second is talent growth and career development. The questions we get are, how do I guide upskilling and internal mobility in a data-driven way so our engineers can grow and stay with us? And third is learning effectiveness and onboarding. A lot of people invest in training and they hire great people, but how do they know they're actually measuring skill growth? How are they validating that the training works? And how do we ensure that the teams are actually ready to perform post-training? So these are three big questions, and they're hard to answer without reliable skill data. So I'm going to walk through each of these challenges with a quick scenario to illustrate the problem, and then show how skills intelligence can address it. Challenge one, strategic workforce planning. Picture this scenario. A global logistics company is preparing to migrate to a cloud-native infrastructure. Engineering leadership wants to know which teams are cloud ready and who might need support. But all they have to go on are job titles and past project involvement. They don't have skill data, verifiable skill data. This visibility cap is risky. Without clear insight, they may overstate or overestimate some teams and underestimate others. They could end up assigning a critical cloud project to engineers who aren't prepared, or they could spend time and budget on external hires unnecessarily because they didn't realize that internal talent was already capable. So you can see the dilemma. They're essentially flying blind. They're trying to future-proof for something like cloud migration without a real map of their current skills. This is a common pain point. Scaling an organization without skill visibility makes planning and staffing really hard. So how does skill intelligence help here? It starts with skill mapping. With Codility, you can assess all your engineers on the specific skills that matter. For example, cloud technologies. On the left, you see a snapshot of skills intelligence dashboard. It's showing an analysis of cloud proficiency across teams. Using data like this, the company discovers exactly who is cloud ready. Perhaps they find that a certain team or region have hidden experts who could actually lead the migration. Or they can pinpoint capability gaps where additional training is needed. The result is that leadership can plan with confidence. Instead of relying on a gut feel or just job title, they can have verifiable skill data to make staffing decisions for large-scale migration. One of our customers already did this. After rapid growth, their CTO compared skill profiles across offices and uncovered a gap in knowledge in one location. They addressed it with targeted training and some mentorship, ensuring the migration went smoothly. That's the power of having real insights. It leads to smarter staffing and can even reduce the need for costly external hires. Now let's talk about challenge two, which is talent growth and career development. For many of you, a priority is growing and retaining your current engineers, helping them upskill and transition into new roles as your business evolves. On the slide is an example we see often. Samantha is an experienced iOS developer who wants to pivot into a machine learning engineering role. Her manager wants to support her ambition. I mean, after all, developing internal talent is a win-win, but the manager is unsure how to evaluate Samantha's readiness for a machine learning role or what specific skills she should focus on to make that jump. This is a common situation when it comes to internal mobility. Without data, career development can be like guesswork. Talented people might not get the right opportunities because their managers don't have a clear view of their skill gaps. Or employees might pursue roles they aren't prepared for, which can lead to frustration. So you can imagine Samantha's thinking now. I've done some Python, I've dabbled into machine learning tutorials, but where do I really stand? And where do I need to learn next? Her manager is asking, how can I guide Samantha objectively? The challenge is all about providing clarity and guidance for upskilling and career paths. And so here's where skills intelligence can support talent growth and internal mobility. So first, it provides targeted diagnosis for employees like Samantha. In practice, Samantha could take a Codility skills intelligence assessment tailored to ML engineering fundamentals. This would clearly show what skills she already has. Say she's strong in Python and some general programming, and what skills she needs to build, maybe machine learning, algorithms, or data engineering. Next, the platform generates personalized development plans for her. For instance, based on her results, it might recommend specific learning modules in LM algorithms, suggest a project where she can get hands-on experience within a machine learning pipeline, or even identify a mentor in the organization who might have those skills. Crucially, progress is tracked over time. Samantha and her manager can actually see improvement through reassessment or skill updates. Perhaps her ML skills grow from basic to proficient in a few months of study and project work. All of this visibility on the dashboard make her career move data-driven and supported. It's not just a leap of faith. So what's the outcome? Employees like Samantha feel more invested and supported in their growth, and the company benefits from filling roles with proven internal talent. This not only boosts morale and retention, but also saves the company cost and time of going and hiring externally for that machine learning role. And finally, the third challenge, effective learning effectiveness and onboarding impact. Organizations right now are spending a lot of training and onboarding and costs, but how do they know if it's actually paying off? What's the ROI? Let's consider a third scenario. A retail tech company rolls out a mandatory AI upskilling program for 50 of its engineers. They all take the course or the workshop. That's great. But fast forward 2 months, there's still no production grade AI project output. Essentially, no noticeable impact. The leadership is asking, did our training actually work? who amongst these 50 engineers can now apply AI in their work. The problem here is lack of measurement. The team completed the training, but there's no data on who's actually capable of contributing to a real AI project afterwards. It's the same when they're onboarding new hires. You hire someone for potential, but you need to track whether they're ramping up appropriately and have they acquired the right skills over the first 90 days. Without skill verification, you're left hoping that the course resulted in new capabilities. And if nothing changes, it's hard to diagnose why. Was the training ineffective, or are the engineers just really not applying it right now? It makes it difficult to justify those learning and development investments to the business because you actually can't show the ROI in terms of improved skill or performance. And this is where skills intelligence brings in a feedback loop. With Codility, you can measure training impact directly. For example, before the AI course begins, you can give those 50 engineers a baseline assessment on their relevant skills. After the training, you can assess them again. The platform shows you exactly how proficiency changed. Maybe the engineer's score on the machine learning concepts went from a 2.5 out of 5 to now it's a 4.2 after the course. Now you have tangible proof of improvement, not just the completion certificate from the training. Furthermore, you can actually verify AI readiness with data. Perhaps out of the 50, the assessments reveal that 15 of them have reached a level where they can actually contribute to real AI projects. And for your L&D teams and executives, I think this is gold. You can actually prove ROI with clear dashboards and show how skills gained and retained over time. Imagine a chart of the pre-training and post-training skill levels. If the trend is up and stays up in 60 days, you can confidently say, this training worked and here's the data. Overall, by tracking these skills in this way, you ensure that your onboarding and training efforts are not just tick box activities, but truly driving growth as you intended. It helps build the case for continuing development programs and ensures your team is ready for the next challenge, whether it's adopting AI or any other new technology that might arise. Now that we've talked about the challenges and how Codility Skills Intelligence can address them in theory, let's see it in action. So at this point, I'd like to hand it back to Todd to lead us through a live demo of the platform. Todd, over to you to show Skills Intelligence up close.
Amazing. Thank you, Tony. So hopefully if you've got any questions for Tony, please add them into the chat. But it's always fun to see software in action. So Tony, I think you need to give me the screen and then we'll go live. Amazing. Fantastic. Okay. Tony, as my guide, you can see the screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Incredible. Great. So of the participants today, there's going to be folks that will know Codility. I think we've got some customers that are joining us. We've also got some people that are probably not customers, may not have heard about Codility before, and just may have kind of understood the concept and want to see what we're doing. I thought this would be very nice just to bring all of this together. So the way that we build products at Codility is all around this concept that we believe in, which is hire to retire. So, how are we assessing people coming into your business? And then how are we assessing their ability during their tenure in your business? And that's what Skills Intelligence will achieve. So you're very aware, Codility's been around for 15 years. We work with the biggest enterprise customers globally. We have 4 core products now that make our solution. We're going to focus on Skills Intelligence. But if you have any challenges around attracting engineers, screening engineers, or interviewing engineers, we have products that encompass those areas as well. Everything we do is around our technical content. So we have a robust team that work behind the scenes to ensure that we create all of our own content. Our team of assessment scientists, which is led by Tony, and our subject matter experts ensure that we have validity and relevance in all of the content that we're giving to people. When we built Skills Intelligence, which in essence is ensuring that your engineers take assessments to validate their current skills, we wanted to ensure that they are adopting, they're taking these tests. And these assessments are, of course, able to validate their skills effectively. We have a very high completion rate of our tasks in the pre-assessment. And as we've been building skills intelligence and adopting this with our customers, we're seeing the same completion rate on the assessment side with people in seat as much as we see people coming into your business. So we're very proud of what we do here, and that essentially governs the products that we sell. So let me jump out of here and let me jump into the live demo. Here we go. Super. So this is Codility. Once you're a customer, this is how the dashboard will look. You can see the main products we've mentioned on the left-hand side, so screen, interview, events. And down here is where you'll find assessments. Now, before we get started, one of the things we do with organizations is we ensure that they create teams. This is very important, and we'll get to this point when we look at the data and the insights that we can produce. But organizations are heading into Codility and they are adding new employee groups. This is extremely relevant because we're going to be assessing different skills for different types of folks. So you can add new employees very easily. We can import large engineering teams into Codility. And as it starts to build out, you can maintain who sits in which department of your business. The next thing is then let's build an assessment to test those main skills. So we head into our assessments product, you click on assessments, and what you'll be doing here is creating the new assessment. So we click on new assessment, and we can test a variety of different skills, which we'll talk about in a second. So I may be looking to assess something, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is AI. I know many of you are probably thinking about your AI strategy and understanding who have those potential skills in your business. So let's take a very base level kind of assessment here and say, right, we're going to build an assessment all around AI skills in our backend team. Super. Very simple. We've created our user groups. I now want to test the engineers that sat in my backend team. So I click on those folks I want to be assessed. I click continue. And now we can open up our skills matrix. Today, I'm really going to focus on those AI skills, but as you can see, we can test a variety of different skills and overarching themes as well. So maybe it's trying to test people working with data, maybe it's software construction skills, maybe it's software testing. I care about AI tools today, so I'm going to click onto some of these sub skills. I want to look at my team for who has great AI prompt writing, who has great skills around models, who's working with LLMs. And that feels good to me today. So I want to look at these three major skills within AI. I click on continue, and then very simply, I can just click next. And now I can decide, do I want to test my team as a one-off, or do I want to have a recurring assessment? Now, many enterprise organizations tell us that they have a lot of pain around sending these tests out to engineers. Often they're having to do this manually, using Excel files, and then they have to remind themselves of that team needs to do the test in 6 months' time. We can look after all of that work for you. So what I might be doing here is I'm going to be looking at these skills, and I want to see how these skills evolve. And I'm going to look at this over a 6-month period. So I actually want my engineers to be taking the tests monthly. So I can click on that to repeat. And now I can start selecting tasks from our library to assess those engineers. And one of the reasons why many organizations rely on Codility is because of that reason I mentioned at the start. Our task library is extremely robust. We cater for many different, technologies, languages, different types of skills, and we have various different categories of assessments you can pick and select. As I'm in here right now, I've selected, Codility's selected 11 tasks that are fit for the skills that I'm looking to assess. I'm going to select a couple in here that seem quite relevant for the engineers I want to test for AI skills. I've got 2 tests coming in. It's going to take around 40 minutes to complete. And as you can see, I've picked and selected. You have the ability to look into the test to have more information around what we're choosing to select. But if I confirm this, and I can then see which test I've picked for my engineers to complete. I click onto next, and now I have some configuration in here as well. I'm actually going to be a little bit tight here today, Tony, and I know you probably wouldn't recommend this, but I'm going to set my pass score at 75%. I feel a little bit strict today, if I'm honest. Now, the second thing I have to choose here is, do I want an AI assistant in the room? So Codility has its own LLM called Cody that can sit alongside the engineer within the IDE. I'm actually going to enable that today. And what that's helping me to do is that's going to help me to understand how they're using, the AI assistant to come to the conclusions and come to the answers. Many engineers today will be using public models. You may have, your own licenses to those models. And typically what you won't be able to see is how they're interacting with those models on their own systems. But with Codility, we allow you to have the transcript to understand how they're interacting with the AI assistant. I'm okay with time limit, but I can configure some of these options if I wish. And now everything looks pretty fine for me. I'm going to click save on this, and this is going to be sent to my engineers. And the next thing we're going to showcase will be the employee dashboard. So very simple. It's taken me the matter of a few minutes to get things set up. And now I'm going to go through to the employee dashboard. And then from there, we'll take a look at the insights and data that this produces. So just clicking into gear here, what you're seeing now is what I see as the engineer. So today I'm Alfonso. This is my account. As I can see in here, I've now got an assessment to complete. I've completed 3 assessments previously, and I can see my score on those. I've been scoring 25%, so I've got a lot of opportunity for development, but potentially I'm better at working with data. So what I'll be doing there is I'll be clicking into this test. It's now going to tell me and be very open with me what skills it's looking to showcase. So these are the skills that my employer wants to see, how I perform against. And I know that I need to achieve at least 50% for each of these tasks to be verified for these skills. As we go, we give lots of instructions to our employees on what they need to do. As mentioned before, we've been in this for 15 years with candidates, so we very much understand what people are looking for when they're taking a new assessment, potentially with a vendor for the first time. So we give people as much information as we possibly can so they are performing to the best of their capability once they take the assessment. Very simple for the engineer. They have access to all the information that they need. And then as soon as I click start the test, I will then be shown to our IDE, to our editor, and now I can start completing these assessments online. If I just go back from here, the second thing I want to showcase today is the profile of that engineer. So I've completed my assessment, I've got my results, super. I've now got my own dashboard behind the scenes, and I can log into this and I can start to understand where my verified skills are. This is really important because potentially a new project may come up internally in the business, and I want to put my hand up and say, actually, I think I've got the right skills to be on this project to make an impact to my company this way, but how can I verify this? How can I showcase to my employer this is the right move for me? I also want to look at where my growth opportunities are. So without getting verified assessments, how do I do this? And today's world, if many of you are facing these challenges, you will know that some of you will be asking people to self-verify themselves for their own skills. This is happening. We have folks that are using other platforms that are not quite equipped to really verify and assess technical skills. We know how hard it is to achieve this with other platforms. So those engineers are used to taking these take-home assessments. They have faith. They have, they have faith in the assessments they're taking because they're taking them to receive their jobs. And now this is a good chance for them to use these assessments for their growth opportunities as well. As I go through, I can see how I've performed in the assessments that I've taken, and then we can get really into depth into the reports. And if you're familiar with Codility, we offer a whole code report, score report on how the candidate has performed, taking an assessment. We offer that back to those engineers so they can see how they performed and where they can perform better in the future. Now, what insights do we provide? I think this is the area that I get most excited about. So many of you may be very data driven. We have the luxury of having many tools that speak to us in today's world. And I'm always looking at data around my people. I would actually love us to build this for our sales team, Tony. I think I've got to convince the engineers at some point to deviate away from just testing the engineering skills. But What we want to showcase to you today is the ease of getting that data that's so important to understanding the current skills of your teams within engineering, where your skills gaps are, who the right people are for certain projects, where those development areas could be. And often, many of you may be working at enterprise businesses where you have a huge engineering team. It looks like an all-encompassing task to get that data. Doesn't matter what size of business you are. As you can remember from the start of this demo today, you build your teams. Really important that you build your teams so we can understand the talent density within each of your teams, and then we can make those recommendations for where you have gaps and how to fill those gaps. And if many of you are joining today from a recruitment team lens, this can also start to bleed into your your recruitment plans and your workforce planning in the months to come. Now, what I'm seeing in here is this is a list of my engineers today. I can look at this engineer to engineer. You all will recall a few minutes ago where we showed you Alfonso's screen and his verified skills and the assessments he's taken. But as I start to go through this, I can start to look at this from a team lens. So what are the verified skills per team? I can very quickly start to understand that actually we've probably not tested a few really vital skills in certain parts of our organization. So I'm then going to send more assessments to that team so I can get more data on that specific department. If a team's lacking, you have the ability to create your teams within here as well. But within here, what you can see in here is I can start to see those verified skills, how many employees are part of that team, and then I can start digging into the data. Now, where it comes to performance is quite interesting because we want to showcase against those core skills, what are your top verified skills in your organization? So if I'm looking at this sample organization here, I can start to see where we are significantly underperforming. This may mean that I want to give them, L&D programs. I want them to find ways to upskill themselves. Or quite frankly, we may verify we've got an absolute skill gap and we need to go and hire into those specific teams. But it's given me that insight, and I can see here my most underperforming skills. I can log into here, click in, get the data, and verify what we're seeing. But I can then also look into this from specific skill like UI implementation. I go into this skill. I can see who my verified employees are. I can see who the folks are that are underperforming in this skill. And that's where we can start the development programs for our engineers. And now I can start looking into things such as my distribution. So I can look at my distribution of those particular skills per team as well. And this is a snapshot that I essentially fall in love with myself because having managed teams for many years now, you never truly get that one dashboard that gives you that snapshot of those skills. So I can look at my organization, I can look at my different departments, and this is where I may want to understand, are there areas of my teams that have skills that need to be deployed elsewhere? So if I look at our ability to perform or leverage APIs, and I recognize that actually within our data team, this is a really important skill. I can feel verified that those people in my data team have those skills. But actually, those people in our front end development team are working on a project that means they need to leverage APIs to be successful. Of the 5 people in my front end development team, I have one person with that verified skill. Great. Where am I going to take people from to ensure that we ship that project that needs to be completed? Well, great. Our data team, there's potentially someone in there that's going to join the front end development team for the sprint. They have the verified skills to mean that we're successful. That means we can ship product much quicker. So working with this information, working with this data is going to be very important to you having a wholesome view of your business, but also making very tactical decision on where people are going to sit and how people are going to make an impact to your business. And then we can start seeing those trends over time. So as you can see here, something very cool that we've got and we're showcasing on the first graph is we're showcasing now the difficulty of tasks and how the difficulty of tasks correlates to the end result those engineers are receiving over time. So we can see that actually when we give our engineers hard tasks, those hard tasks start to increase over the period of time that we've been assessing our people, giving them L&D programs. This feels very very good that we can get the instant feedback on the programs we're giving people, making an impact to our organization. And then you have a lot of information and data down here from different technologies and verify how those skills perform over time. And we're consistently adding to this as we're growing the product. The last thing to showcase to everyone today is an area where we've received a lot of feedback. Gamification within engineering is huge. I used to work at a company Stack Overflow, which was a Q&A website for engineers, all around gamification, and a point system to reward people for answering questions. We know that engineers like this to be gamified, so we built leaderboards into Codility Skills Intelligence as well. So now we can have a very objective view on who is the best performing, person, who is the subject matter expert within each department, each team, and that means that person can then be the SME for certain topics within that department, within that team, that you can start working with as well. As we start growing our product, we're adding more features, we're adding more layers all the time. That's it from the Skills Intelligence demo today. We invite any questions from the team. Super. So I'm going to start answering the questions that we have. I think we've got one from Elite here. Can an employee assign themselves against specific tech skill with no need for Codility to assess on this? Let's say we know who is strong at what and still want that employee on the platform. Can we give them access to edit their own profiles by adding skills? So we don't allow this at the moment, but there is a plan to import this data from either a resume, a LinkedIn profile. So this is something we'll be thinking about within the future. We only show verified skills at the moment, which are verified via the Codility assessments that we have within the platform. Anything to add there, Tony?
No, but that's the question.
Super. Is it repurposing the tasks which are using during hiring process, or it has special set of tasks relevant for ongoing job? That's from Puneet. Tony, shall I let you take that one? I can give some.
Yeah, so we have the same task library used across the all platforms, but we have started developing tasks specifically suited for skills intelligence because some tasks are just better suited for internal talent. But it's the same tasks. If you're used to Codility, it's the same types of tasks you're used to from hiring now onto um, uh, post hire, right? But then there's also the tasks that we're developing new, we're encouraging, and the ones that you'll have recommended are shorter tasks. So instead of maybe a 40-minute task for hiring, we're seeing more people use 20-minute tasks for their internal talent.
And one thing to be aware of as well is we have our own in-house task creation team. So we're also inviting customers and prospects to work with us. If there's a certain gap or an assessment that you would like within the platform, please, if you're a customer, speak to your existing customer success team. If you're not currently working with us, we invite you to come and check this out with us, and we'll talk about this in more in depth with you. But we have that support and capability in-house too. We still have lots of folks online. Feel free to put any questions you have into the chat. Give it a few minutes. I think it's a good thing to note, Tony, if people have questions around, our assessment science team and the work that you do, we can find you on LinkedIn, Tony, as well. So please do get in touch with us if you'd like to learn more what Tony's doing too. Debbie says chat is disabled. Just ask the Codility admin team.
Yeah.
I think
I do have a question here. How do you handle engineers who are nervous about being tested? is there a risk of feeling punitive? I think it's an excellent question, and Todd, feel free to add in. But essentially, we want to avoid we want the employees to feel like they're gaining something from this. So the assessments are not really meant to be punitive. The tasks are really meant to gain insights into what you're ready for and what you may have skill gaps in. It's only meant to be developmental in nature. We're adding things to the platform, for example, like leaderboards and things like that, to make it more fun, right? So that employees don't feel the need to misrepresent themselves or not take a task assigned to them, but more for them to actually maybe enjoy taking the task or actually show off their skills on some sort of platform.
Yeah, I think this is a big piece in why we started off the webinar by just giving a little bit of explanation into who we are and how long we've been around. There will be a nervousness, and there's many platforms that are not validated by engineers. You know, engineers have not interacted with platforms, but we test millions of engineers per year with the amount of customers that fly through Codility. So it's often that those people have probably used us at some point within their career. They've used this to validate, you know, coming into your business. So you have that validation that those people feel that, look, I've taken an assessment. It's helped me to showcase my skills to get a job. I'm now getting asked to do an assessment to validate my skills. Now, the other part of the equation will be, you know, communication. How are we communicating to people of the why we want to test their skills? Why is this important to them to verify those skills internally within a business? We also act as consultants. So, you know, I'm very much on the sales team, but Tony is part of our advisory team. So we've very much invested in advising organizations and businesses to get this right internally. We know getting this right means you'll get adoption, which means you'll very quickly verify skills internally. So it's a great question. Do we have any more, Tony?
Yeah, another one here. Will there be a view where we can see how our engineers are doing across the other orgs?
That's a great question. Absolutely. So we can set you up in any view that you like. So what I think you mean by that is you may be part of a business, Puneet, where you may have various different kind of subsidiaries or teams or departments. Maybe you've got an offshore, onshore team. You know, whichever setup you have, we have the ability to create those organizations for you so you can validate people cross org, which means that you can have the fluidity of people moving to one part of your organization and another. And in fact, many organizations that use this will be IT consultancies, which will be putting their people on site to various different projects as well. That's a perfect use case because many of those people get validated going into a business, working on a project going in. Part of skills intelligence is going out and ensuring those people are verified for the skills they have, speeding up the execution of that project. So yeah, we very much built CSI with that in mind. I have one for you, Tony. How does skills intelligence differ from traditional performance reviews or 360 feedback in evaluating engineering talent? What's your thoughts on
I think that's an excellent question. I think a lot of organizations they currently use that to assess talent, right? They're using 360 feedback, they're using performance reviews. I don't think you have to go away from those. As a matter of fact, when I work with organizations, they like to combine them, right? So 360 only gives you one part of it, especially when it comes to technical talent like this or technical skills. You're gonna want some way to verify that talent. So 360 really only tells you from a project perspective, does the manager, does the actual employee, does their peers feel they hold those skills? But let's put it to the test. And I think combining skills intelligence platform as an objective measure of skills with a more traditional performance review method, maybe 360 feedback, is a great way to really give the candidate a robust view of themselves and then also have a pathway to move forward, right? Like what skills do I actually need to work on? What are those blind spots that I'm missing? A candidate says they're really good in one skill, but maybe their skills intelligence doesn't show that. Or excuse me, candidate. I got to get used to saying employee as opposed to candidate with this new product. But yeah, you get the idea. I think the combination of those two are very powerful.
We have a finding system, Tony. We just need to get it past HR first for each time you say
Yeah.
okay, first employee.
And I think it's actually a good time as quite more questions are coming in. Um, I'd love to actually launch a poll here, the feedback poll. And Charlie, I don't know if it's even possible to show the results of the poll prior to this at the same time, or maybe they can't at the same time. But I'd also love to share those before we close the call. But yes, please feel free to keep throwing questions our way um, on the platform. I have a question here. What's needed to get started with skills intelligence in an existing engineering org? Is it a long implementation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can take that one. It's not long at all. We will help you. All we need to really do is onboard your engineers, as we mentioned in the first part of the call, and that's why it's so important. We built this for enterprise level organizations, so we can help you with however big your engineering team is. Once we have those validated, it is as quick as what we showcased to you today. We will be building assessments that verify the skills you're looking to assess, and then we'll take those. So you can really start to get impactful data from the moment you get going with Codility. But if you're an existing customer asking that question, please do get in touch. We'll very much help you to start assessing the product as well. New customers, we have an onboarding team, we have a solution engineering team, we have the advisory team, and you're very much supported in getting started with us. It's a great question.
Another one here says, have you seen this tool be used in companies for mentoring and coaching programs? Well, I think that's an excellent use of the tool. I haven't seen it be used yet, but that's actually one of the recommendations I had in the slides is as people are taking their assessments and they have clearly made the effort to say, I want to be in this career, I want to pivot roles, or I want to be somewhere else in my career, do career pathing or upskilling. This is a perfect way to use it because you can actually, with one click, you can actually see who in the organization exhibits the skill with excellency and then others who may be in the beginning stages of proficiency, pair them up, right? That's an easy way, maybe in lieu of a training or in combination with some sort of training that you have, to make sure that the right employees are getting in touch with the right mentors.
That's super. Any final questions to the group? If we can give you time back, I'm sure everyone's very busy. We'd love to speak with you more. They will be a screen to the product that we have built, so you'll get more information. If you're interested to speak to us more, please do get in touch.